The temperature plummeted, frost creeping up the walls. Ethan's breath fogged as he stumbled back, the shadow's wet, gurgling breath slithering down his spine. "You woke me?" It rasped, its voice a chorus of the damned. He grabbed his phone. Its screen flared, showing him standing still, the shadow's claws piercing his chest, blood pooling. He dropped it, but the image burned into his vision. The shadow wasn't just behind him, it was everywhere. Every shard of glass on the floor reflected it, red eyes multiplying claws, scraping closer. He ran, tripping downstairs, but the house turned against him. The windows warped, showing the shadow tearing at the glass from outside. The TV flickered on, a live feed of his own terrified face, the shadow's hands strangling him from behind. He smashed it with a chair, but the kitchen sink overflowed with black, writhing liquid, hands clawing up from the drain. His reflection in a spoon lunged, clawing his hand, drawing blood. Ethan bolted for the door, but it slammed shut, locks twisting shut on their own. The shadow materialized fully, towering, its flesh a shifting mass of eyes and teeth, claws dripping black ichor. It seized his throat, lifting him off the ground, its red eyes boring into his soul. "Mine, forever," it snarled. The broken mirror glowed, sucking air inward like a vortex. Ethan clawed at its grip, his screams warping as the glass dragged him in, his body folding, cracking, vanishing into the void. Dawn broke, silent and gray. The house was a wreck, mirrors obliterated, walls oozing black rot. Ethan gone. A single shard remained, etched with mine in jagged script. The mirrors back in the shop pristine, humming softly. At night, you might hear a boy's voice, choking, pleading, then a laugh, deep and inhuman, calling your name from the glass. Ethan, 15 and fearless, stormed into the shop one stormy dusk, boots dripping with mud. The mirror loomed ahead, its glass swirling like a storm-trapped sea, emitting a low guttural hum that vibrated in his bones. He smirked, tracing the carvings, claws, eyes, mouths frozen in screams. The shopkeeper emerged, her face a mask of terror, nails digging into his arm. "Leave it be," she croaked. "It's not a mirror, it's a door. It's been waiting." Ethan laughed. "Crazy old bat," and raised his phone, snapping a selfie. The flash caught something, a flicker of red in his reflection's eyes. That night, the air in his room turned sour, thick with the stench of decay. He checked the photo. His reflection's face was wrong. Eyes black as tar, mouth a gaping slash, dripping something dark. A sharp scrape tore through the silence, claws raking glass from his bedroom mirror. He flipped on the light, and his blood ran cold. His reflection didn't move with him. It stood rigid, head cocked, red eyes glowing through the dark. Its grin widened, splitting its face, revealing jagged teeth. The mirror rattled, thumping like a heartbeat. Ethan grabbed a baseball bat, shouting, "Who's there?" The glass bulged outward, cracked spiderwebbing as a shadow pressed against it, tall, skeletal, with claws like scythes. It shrieked, a sound like 1,000 nails on chalk, and the mirror shattered inward, shards flying. The shadow lunged, half-formed, its claws slashing the air inches from his throat. Ethan swung the bat, smashing the frame, but the room plunged into darkness, lights exploding in sparks. In a forsaken town swallowed by fog, there was an antique shop cursed by its own silence. At its heart stood an ancient mirror, tall, its gilded frame twisted with grotesque symbols that pulsed faintly, as if alive. The shopkeeper's voice trembled when she spoke of it. "Don't look too long. It doesn't reflect, it devours." Locals whispered it was forged in a ritual gone wrong, a prison for something unspeakable. This is the tale of Ethan, a boy who tempted fate and woke the shadow within. The cursed night, survive the madness or die, laughing. Beneath the silvery moonlight, an old mansion rises from the depths of a foggy forest. Shattered windows sway in the wind as if whispering secrets. Unknown to all, this was once the home of Mr. Edgar, an eccentric comedian, a mysterious sorcerer, and now a cursed spirit. Tonight, 4 young friends step inside, unaware they're about to face their own nightmares. Alex: "Hey everyone, this place is seriously creepy. A vlog here will definitely get 1 million views." Sophie: "I'm already getting chills. Maybe we should head back." Liam: "What's there to be scared of? I'm the leader here. Where's the flashlight? Turn it on. Let's film." Emma: "You're all overreacting. It's probably just rats." Inside the mansion. The mansion stands silent as a tomb. Stained walls, murky mirrors reflecting faint light. But then, a small sound echoes from the corner, like footsteps or someone's whisper. Sophie: "Who just passed by that corner?" Alex: "You're just imagining it. Probably the wind moving the curtains." Emma: "Who's this guy? He looks creepy." Liam: "Awesome. We've got content now. The haunted mansion of the mysterious old man. Doesn't that sound cool?" Moonlight hits the portrait. Mr. Edgar's eyes seem to blink faintly. First illusion under the moonlight. The curse awakens. Each of their deepest fears comes to life. Sophie, the one afraid of the dark, is the first victim. The room darkens. Sophie's shadow morphs into a monster. Sophie: "Help me. My shadow. It's alive." Alex: "Even your shadow looks better than you." The shadow grabs a mic, rapping off-key. Emma: "What the heck? A ghost that can rap?" Liam: "This is epic. This clip's gonna go viral." Mr. Edgar appears, and then the mastermind appears. Mr. Edgar, pale face, sunken eyes, a grin wide enough to swallow the room. But instead of attacking, he rides a tiny children's bike with a ting-ting bell. "Mr. Edgar, you dare disturb me? All right, let's play a game." Sophie: "A ghost? It's a real ghost, guys." Alex: "An old man cosplaying a ghost? Looks so cheesy." Mr. Edgar: "Cheesy? Let me show you what real terror is. Terrifying illusion." Mr. Edgar waves his hand, and the space transforms. Alex, the one afraid of snakes, sees the room flooded with giant snakes, glowing red eyes slithering toward him. Alex: "Oh my God, snakes, help me." The snakes let out a siren like, "Hoo-hoo." Emma: "What kind of snakes sing better than you, Alex?" Mr. Edgar: "Like it? I've got even better tricks." Discovery and fight back. Finding a way out amid the nightmare, Liam realizes Mr. Edgar doesn't want to harm them. He just wants to play. The only way out is to make him laugh hard. Liam, guys, make him laugh. I think that's the key. Sophie, how can I laugh when I'm scared stiff? Emma, let me try. Crawls like a ghost. Look, a prettier ghost than you. Mr. Edgar, you crawl like a worm, not good enough. Comedic climax. Alex, do you like modern stuff? Watch this. Dances TikTok. Liam, once there was a guy scared of ghosts. He met one and asked, "Have you had dinner yet?" The ghost said, "Not yet, waiting for you." Mr. Edgar laughs hard. His head falls off. Mr. Edgar, "All right, you're pretty good. One more trick, make me laugh and I'll let you go." Breaking the curse. And then the group unites. They dance, tell jokes, even pretend to scare Mr. Edgar back. His laughter rings out, drowning the wind. The curse dissolves. Mr. Edgar, "All right, you win. I'm off to the afterlife. Thanks for the laughs." As the moonlight fades, the mansion returns to peace. The friends leave, carrying a tale both terrifying and hilarious. A night they'll never forget. Mr. Edgar's laughter echoes faintly. In a forgotten corner of the world, nestled among misty hills, lay a village cursed by silence. At its edge stood the Whispering Well, an ancient structure of cracked stone, swallowed by moss and time. The villagers didn't call it that because of echoes or wind. No, it was the voices, soft, relentless whispers that rose from its depths after dark, like lost souls clawing for freedom. The rule was simple: never look into the well at night. Those who did never came back the same. Some spoke of a tragedy centuries old, a family drowned in its waters, their cries trapped forever. Others swore it was a portal to something far worse. This is the story of Clara Hensley, a fearless 17-year-old who thought she could outsmart the unknown, until the well proved her wrong. Clara had moved to the village with her parents after a bitter fallout in the city. She was restless, always chasing thrills to escape her boredom. The well caught her eye on her first day, a crumbling relic in a field of overgrown weeds. The locals avoided it like a plague. Old Mr. Grayson, the village baker, cornered her outside his shop, his voice shaking. "Stay away, girl. It's not a story, it's a warning. My brother looked down there once. He's been muttering to himself for 30 years. Clara smirked. "Sounds like a fun challenge," she said, brushing him off. That night, she overheard her parents whispering about the well. Her father, a stern man, said, "They found a shoe by it last year, some kid who went missing." Her mother shivered, and those scratches on the stones, like something tried to climb out. Clara's curiosity ignited. She grabbed her flashlight, phone, and a pocket knife, her lucky charm, and slipped out into the fog. The village slept under a heavy stillness, the air thick with an unnatural chill. As she approached the well, her boots crunched on brittle twigs, each snap echoing like a gunshot. She muttered to herself, "Just a dumb old hole." But her pulse quickened. First encounter! Clara reached the well, its jagged rim glowing faintly under the moon. She switched on her flashlight, the beam slicing through the fog. The air felt wrong, dense, like it was pressing against her chest. She started recording on her phone. Day 1, debunking the Whispering Well. Let's see if the ghosts show up. She leaned over the edge, peering into the void. At first, there was nothing but damp stone and the faint glint of water far below. Then a ripple, small, unnatural, spread across the surface. A whisper slithered up. "Clara!" She froze, her breath catching. The voice was childlike, pleading, but it wasn't alone. More joined in, a cacophony of hisses and murmurs. "Look closer. We see you. Come down." Her hands trembled, but she couldn't look away. The water churned violently, and a skeletal hand, rotted, dripping with slime, shot up, clawing the air inches from her face. She yelped, jerking back, but her foot snagged on a root. She crashed to the ground, her flashlight tumbling into the well with a distant splash. The whispers turned into shrieks, high-pitched, ear-splitting, and the well shuddered. 2 more hands gripped the rim, bones cracking as they pulled. A shadowy figure began to rise, its head a mass of tangled hair dripping black water. Clara scrambled up, grabbed her phone, and ran, the shrieks clawing at her back. She didn't stop until she locked herself in her room, panting, the phone clutched to her chest. The next morning, Clara tried to laugh it off as a nightmare, but the whispers lingered. She heard them in the hum of the kettle, the rustle of leaves outside. "You saw us. You're ours." Her parents noticed her pale face at breakfast. "You okay, kid?" her dad asked. She nodded, but her hands shook. At school, the voices buzzed behind her teacher's words, growing louder, angrier. That night, she woke to a dripping sound. Wet footprints trailed from her window to her bed, smeared with mud and algae. Her phone, left at the well, sat on her nightstand, its screen flickering. A video played, her own face eyeless, whispering, "Why did you look?" She screamed, waking her parents. They found the footprints, but no phone. It had vanished again. Her mother sobbed, "It's the well. I knew it." Clara, desperate, grabbed her knife and a candle from the kitchen. "I'll make it stop," she vowed, storming back to the well as dusk fell. The fog was thicker now, the well a dark silhouette against the dying light. Clara lit the candle, its flame trembling as she shouted, "Leave me alone!" She slashed at the air with her knife, tears streaming down her face. The ground quaked, and the whispers roared into a deafening howl. "You can't cut us!" Black water erupted from the well, thick and tar-like, tendrils snaking toward her. She swung her knife, severing one, but more lashed out, wrapping her ankles. She clawed at the dirt, screaming as the candle fell and sputtered out. The water dragged her to the edge, her fingers scraping the stone rim. With one final cry, she vanished into the depths, the well swallowing her whole. Days later, the village searched, but found nothing. Only her knife, stuck in the ground, blade bent. The whispers grew louder after that, a chorus of torment. And now, if you stand by the whispering well at night, you'll hear a new voice. Clara's, sobbing, "Don't look, help me," before it twists into a cold, hollow laugh, daring you to lean closer. The lantern beneath the willow, a light that never dies. Scary story time in a forsaken village drowned in perpetual fog, where shadows clung to every breath. An ancient willow wept over a cursed pond. Beneath its twisted claw-like branches hung a rusted lantern, its flame an unholy ember, flickering ceaselessly, defying wind, rain, and time. The villagers whispered a dread command, "Never touch it. That light feeds on souls." Legends spoke of a woman, forsaken and drowned in betrayal, her lantern a beacon of eternal torment. This is the story of Lily, who sought its glow and fell into a darkness that consumes all. Lily, 19 and haunted by her own ghosts, stumbled into the village seeking solace. The willow loomed on her first night, a grotesque titan, its branches swaying like skeletal limbs, caressing the black mirror-like pond. The lantern pulsed with a sickly yellow flame, its light weaving shadows that danced with unnatural life, faces, hands, eyes forming and dissolving in the fog. An old woman at the inn, her voice a cracked whisper, seized Lily's arm. "It's hers! She lit it for a lover who left her to rot. Now it burns for the living, to drag them under." Lily's eyes gleamed with defiance. The lantern's hum sang to her, a siren's lure she couldn't resist. Under a sky swallowed by darkness, she crept to the pond, her flashlight trembling as the fog devoured its beam. The air thickened, reeking of rot and sorrow, and the lantern's wail grew, a mournful hymn that clawed at her mind. She reached for it, fingers grazing the frigid, rusted metal, and the flame exploded into a crimson inferno, searing her vision. A voice hissed from the abyss, "You've come. You'll stay." The pond churned violently, black water surging upward, tendrils of mist lashing her like whips. The willow's roots erupted from the earth, writhing like serpents, their tips glistening with blood-red sap, coiling around her ankles. She tore free, but the lantern swung wildly, its light now a pulsing wound in the fog, painting her in gore. A figure emerged. Tall, shrouded in a tattered shroud, her eyeless face weeping tar, her skeletal hands clutching the lantern as it bled crimson flames. Her wail shattered the night, a scream of rage and despair that drove Lily to her knees, blood trickling from her ears. She fled, the glow stalking her through the mist, seeping into her room. By midnight, it hovered at her window, its hum a deafening requiem, and the woman's form pressed against the glass, her tar-dripping socket staring, her mouth twisting into a grin of shattered teeth. The next night, the lantern invaded her sanctuary, dangling from the ceiling, its red flame throbbing like a diseased heart, scorching the walls with heat that peeled paint into ash. The room warped, the ceiling dripping black ichor that hissed on the floor, and the woman's laughter roared, a guttural symphony of the damned. Skeletal hands, rotted, oozing, burst through the floorboards, their nails gouging her flesh, dragging her down as the pond's water flooded in, black and boiling, swallowing her legs. "Light it. Burn with me." The voice snarled, a chorus of torment. Lily swung a knife, slashing the hands, but they regrew faster, stronger, pinning her arms. The woman materialized fully, her shroud a writhing mass of decayed flesh and wriggling worms, her eyeless face splitting to reveal a maw of jagged fangs, her tar-soaked hands sinking into Lily's throat, burning her skin with icy fire. The lantern flared, its light searing Lily's eyes, blinding her with visions, countless faces, trapped, screaming, swirling in its flame. She clawed for the door, but the house shuddered, collapsing inward, the willow's roots piercing through walls. skewering the air around her. She broke free, staggering to the pond, the lantern hovering like a vengeful star, its heat melting her flesh. In a final act, she seized it, screaming as it fused to her hands and plunged into the pond. Component placement. The water shrieked, boiling red, and the woman rose, her body a towering nightmare of slime and bone, her claws tearing Lily's chest open. "You're mine, forever!" she roared, her voice a legion of the drowned. The willow's roots surged, piercing Lily's limbs, dragging her into the earth as the lantern's flame consumed her, her body dissolving into ash and light, her scream echoing endlessly. The pond swallowed her, leaving only silence. Months later, the lantern hangs still, its yellow glow soft, deceptive. But at night, the willow trembles, the pond ripples with unseen hands, and two voices wail, one ancient, one new, blending into a laugh that slices the fog, whispering your name. The flame shifts, red and alive, and the roots reach out, waiting,